Greetings, Kongs, and welcome to Board with Video Games, the gaming podcast that strives for the right balance of coverage for the games you play on your table and on your television. You can think of us as the Pongo and Perdita of gaming podcasts. We're a proud member of the PSVG Podcast Network. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle, and joining me on this co-op adventure, the guy whose math tells us when you double 15, you get 99. Josh, how are you doing this evening?
Doing very good. I'm assuming that's a reference to something, but my math is so bad that is a possibility.
Well, I had to redeem myself after my mishap last week, so I was like, well, I got to make sure I get this reference right. Do you know who Pongo and Perdita are?
Yes, I know it's from 99 Dalmatians, but what's the 15 from?
Or 101 Dalmatians, but...
101 Dalmatians, Jesus.
Glad that we can both do this. It makes me feel way better. At some point in that movie, one of the puppies, and I don't remember which one it was, Pongo says something about like, we have 15 puppies. And one of the puppies, I can't remember which one, says, no, we have double that. We have 99.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's a good memory because I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, so there's some obscure reference to doubling 15 equals 99. So that is where that reference came from. So
okay.
Yeah,
well, I will say I'm feeling better. I'm out of the spoiler covers for the most part.
Yeah, I was going to say, you went and saw Infinity War, correct?
I saw Infinity War.
And I think you said it was the perfect movie.
I think it might be the perfect film in beats. I don't think it's like the best movie ever made, but I think that the narrative of the story, and if you follow it by character motivations and all these kinds of like typical cinematic beats you want to see in movies, it might be a perfect movie.
Okay. So here's my question, completely spoiler-free for people who haven't listened to it, and I promise we're not going to talk about movies all night. Did anything in the movie surprise you?
Yeah, I was shocked.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Have you not seen it yet?
No, I've seen it, but like I talked about last week, like nothing surprised me.
Really?
Yeah, nothing? Not one thing in that movie I found. Well, I take that back. There was one thing that we'll talk about off air later that slightly surprised me. I was like, oh, okay, I can see that. Like, I didn't totally see that coming. But like everything else, I was like, not that like, oh, I 100% saw it coming. But I was like, nope, that makes sense. Yep, I can see that. Oh, no, I had considered that might happen. And like I said, I still enjoyed the movie.
I cried like twice in that movie. I'm not even joking. I realized that I had this feeling to a character that I didn't even realize how strong that feeling was. And then my wife looked at me and she started laughing.
I will say I cried at it too, but I cried at it not. Yeah, I can't even say why. We'll talk about it afterwards. But for different reasons, I think that most people did, because I get very like cheesy things really get me. Yeah. And there's some really cheesy moments that are still pretty powerful, but they're kind of cheesy and they just ate me up. So
yeah. No, yeah, I can't wait to see it again. I want to see it in IMAX though, and yeah, and I just went ahead and watched a recap of the Walking Dead season finale because my care for the show has really dwindled in the last half of the season. And one of the podcasts I listened to was doing a spoiler thing, and I waited 2 weeks and I didn't listen to it, and I was like, I just got to listen to it now. I can't keep putting off. It wasn't that 9 to 5 Nerds podcast. So I was talking with a guy who runs it on Twitter and DMs, and I was like, I haven't listened to the episode yet, but I just kind of bit the bullet, and it was whatever.
Yeah, I have read, oh man, I don't have individual graphic novels, but I have the compendiums of The Walking Dead, and I've read the first 2 compendiums. Yeah. But I've never watched one episode. No, I take that back. I've watched the first episode of the show, and that is it.
Oh, you should watch the show.
So
you should watch it.
Yeah, maybe when they finish it, so that I can actually just watch it all at once. I will do that, so I don't run into situations like I'm in for Game of Thrones.
Right.
So, but no, that's great. And hey, everyone, though we enjoy talking about other entertainment, this is not another entertainment podcast. This is a gaming podcast. So thanks for joining us this week. As always, any feedback, questions, suggested topics, hit us up on the social media at BoardWithVG on Twitter and at BoardWithVG on Instagram, where Josh has been killing it with the many, many pictures he has been posting. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/BoardWithVG. We'll take long-form thoughts or comments at boardwithvg@gmail.com. And as always, use that hashtag boardwithvg on all the social medias so that we can find all the awesome stuff that you are doing. With that, enough of the housekeeping. Josh, sir, what have you been playing on your tabletop?
Oh, what have I been playing? Well, it looks like we're finally in a rhythm where we're going to start playing games every either Saturday or Sunday night after the kid goes down, which is good. Although we are going back and revisiting all the Marvel movies, so that might cut into board game time.
You didn't do that before you went and saw Infinity War?
No, we didn't have to. But there was part of the movie where, out of the blue, I know we're talking about movies again. My wife, who's not like the biggest movie watcher, after we got out and we're talking, she wanted to watch them all again. She said it. I'm not going to say no to that. Like, that would be crazy of me.
Yeah,
so I foster that like that.
Yeah, no, we did the rewatch too, which was also my wife's suggestion prior to going to Infinity War. So yeah,
I think doing the rewatch after, I'm going to pick up on a lot of things I might not have if I watched it before.
Right. Possibly, for sure.
We'll see. I'll report back in like 5 months.
We did it in 3 weeks. I have faith in you.
Yeah, okay. Well, so 5 months. So yeah, we played. So on Saturday night, my wife and I played Majesty, which I got her for her birthday, which was last week, which she had been wanting because that was one of the games we played at PAX Unplugged, and that's by Z-Man Games.
Mm-hmm.
And we also played a game called The Mysterious Forest, I want to say. And coincidentally, Saturday was Free Comic Book Day. And as we got to Free Comic Book Day very late, because we saw Infinity War, almost all the comics were picked through. So one of the comics that we did see was the Wormwood Saga, which coincidentally had the same logo as the board game we just bought. And that's what I found out, that the board game was based off of that comic. So my wife picked up that comic too, and so we played those two games on Saturday night. Sunday was a Gloomhaven day, and we also played Shards of Infinity. I'll touch briefly on the Mysterious Forest. It's for sure a kid's game. It's very easy. It's a memory game. And essentially you're playing this character, this kid who's going through a mysterious forest, and you're laying down random cards. There's forest tiles. Then there was I can't remember. There's a different tile in the middle, then a couple more forest tiles, and then a boss. And on each tile's face down. I would say they're cards, not tiles. And you have a backpack that you have to load up with items or supplies or whatever. And the way you do this is, it's a cooperative game. So the first player flips over the first card in the line of cards, and it shows you items you need to complete that card. And then you flip it back down. Usually, I think each card has 3 items on it. So you flip that card back down, and then the second player flips over the second card, and then the two of you try to remember the items on the second card. And you do that with every card. Until I think you have looked at maybe 6 or 7 cards. You have to try to memorize the items that you need. And then there's this little creature. He looks like a Pikachu. His name is Loki. And he allows you to trade items or summon items for you. If you didn't remember, like there's like a compass, a sword, shield, all these different types of items that are acquired. And then the boss monster at the end has 4 or 5 items that you need to get. And essentially all you're trying to do is fill your backpack. You roll 4 die, and on these die they have icons of the tools like that you can get. If you roll a Loki, you have to take the Loki. If you roll 2 Loki, you're stuck taking 2 Loki. They really fill up backpack space as you're playing. So yeah, that's pretty simple. There is a way at the end of the book to raise the difficulty, so we might try that. But we beat it pretty handily in our first try, no issues. We had to trade in 1 thing, I think, and we pretty much got everything. It would be really good for kids for sure, and probably better for kids if like you're reading the comic with them. But yeah, it looks nice. It's a nice looking game. It's small, so it's easy to travel with. But it was pretty fun. Majesty, I'll talk about next week probably, but
Okay.
it's basically it's a style. Well, I won't say anything about it. And then, so I'll talk about Gloomhaven real quick. So we went into scenario 2 in Gloomhaven.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, since we play like once a month, every time we play, it's like refreshing our memories on what we're supposed to do and all these things, and our strategies change by every game.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first. Well, this is only our second map, but this map had a boss on it, so that was new for us. And we had a bunch of questions come up, and as I'm looking up Board Game Geek for this specific scenario, because there were some unclear rules, I noticed. I told the guys as we were playing, every comment in here saying everyone lost this time. This the first time they played it.
That's always like when you read that, like, because I've done that too. When you read things, everyone's like, "Yeah, everything is like, oh well, we lost and we lost." Yeah. That's always a bummer.
Well, great. It's scenario 2 out of 99. This is gonna go real well.
Right.
So, as we get through the first room, we go into the second room, and then boom, the boss. He's just right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the boss doesn't work necessarily the same way as regular bad guys do. This boss has special abilities, and when you fight a monster, to determine initiative, you draw a card of theirs, and it'll have an initiative value, and it'll also say like an archer would say like maybe -1 movement, +1 range, or something like that. So on the boss, that like ability 1 was he jumps across the room. So the objective of this mission was to defeat the boss and every revealed enemy. So he's in this room that has doorways to 4 other closed corridors. If he gets ability 1, he literally jumps across the room to a doorway and opens it.
And more baddies come out, I bet.
As soon as the door is open, no matter where you are, bad guys are activated and they start moving on the next turn. His ability 2 is to summon 3 corpse walkers. He did this like 6 times. It was brutal. We got killed.
I was like, so I'm assuming you didn't win.
No. The good thing in Gloomhaven, though, is you do keep your experience and your gold, even if you lose. So that is good because we're going to need it. But hopefully next month, or maybe closer to the end of this month when we play again, we'll be able to report back more successfully. But I'm still liking it. It's a lot of fun, and it's challenging, which is nice.
Gotcha. Very cool. So I, as promised this weekend, just scratched the surface of Seventh Continent.
Nice.
So I don't want to talk about it yet. Okay. I'm really enjoying it so far, but I did not get very, very far in it. I think it'd be almost doing it a disservice to talk to it about it at this point. But what I'm going to talk about is that the wife and I finally sat down and played some Splendor. Now, Splendor is a game we've definitely talked about on this podcast before, a game that we mention quite regularly, but I don't know if we ever got in depth on it. I could be wrong. I don't think that we have.
I don't think so, but you said finally. Have you not played it before?
Well, we have played it before, but we haven't played it in a long time, and I wanted to play it again before I talked about it on the podcast. So we finally sat down and played it again, and Splendor really is one of those games I firmly believe if you are trying to build a collection or just getting into it, I think Splendor is one of those games that just is I don't want to say a must-have, but a really easy recommend as far as a game to add to your collection if you're looking at just getting that collection going, because it's a really easy game to kind of bridge the gap. And I don't want to say it's a gateway game, but it definitely bridges the gap for people who maybe haven't played a designer or a hobby board game before, but because it's so easy to teach. And it's really straightforward as what you do, but there's actually a surprising amount of depth of strategy to it that you learn the more that you play it. So the game is pretty straightforward. In front of you is a board. There are 3 rows of cards with 4 cards in each row, as well as some fancy, I can't forget the name of them. What are they called? The folks who sit on the side of the board, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. I do know what you're talking about, and it's like
Nobles. I think they're called nobles.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was kind of like ancestors. No, that's not right.
so so anyway, like I said, you have 3 rows of 4 cards and then a group of nobles on the side of the board. And how many of those nobles are depends on the number of players that you have. And then you have a variety of resources available as well. On your turn are gems. On your turn, you do one of 4 things. You either take 3 gems of different colors, so each gem has to be a different color. You take 2 gems of the same color, but you have to leave at least 2 in the stack. So if there's only 2 there, you can't take 2. Or if there's 3, you can't take 2. So you always have to make sure there's 2 left in the stack. But otherwise, you can take 2 gems of the same color. You can buy one of the cards that is available on the board, or you can reserve a card and take a gold. You just do one of those 4 things on your turn. That's all you're going to do is one of those 4 things. Goals to be the first person to get to 15 points because all of the development cards that are in front of you have a point value as well as the nobles do. Not all of them. Some of them have a point value on them as well as the nobles. First person who gets 15 points, you finish that round. Whoever has the most points wins. Pretty straightforward, really, when you think about it. But you start getting into the idea of, okay, do I want to focus on certain colored gems? Do I want to have a certain strategy? To get the nobles, you have to have a certain number of gems in your inventory. So it's like, okay, do I want to start working towards the noble that has 3 green, 3 red, 3 blue, or do I want to like spread myself out? Like how am I going to do this, and how is this going to work with other people? Do I want to reserve a development card that clearly an opponent is going for, even though I have no intention of ever buying this thing, just to try to block them from the strategy that they've been working on? So really a simple game to teach because like you can only do one of 4 things, and you do that every single turn. But I think a lot of depth, a lot of strategy. It's a beautiful game. It looks really nice. If it's an easy game that if you are looking to play it on your own as well, like over lunch or something like that, there's a very inexpensive app that you can get as well. And the app is really solid, plays really well. And games go, I mean, pretty quick, especially if you play like a 2-player app game. You're getting them finished, man, 7 minutes. You can kind of bust through a game pretty quickly. 8, 9 minutes. So Splinter is just a game that I think is, like I said, an easy recommend, and you can typically find it at Barnes & Noble, Target, things like that. It's not a game that you necessarily have to order online or have to go to your friendly local game store to get. This is something you can find in a big box store. But yeah, a game that I think, like I said, if you are looking at building out that collection or just interested in maybe checking out some board games and don't have someone to teach it to you, Splender's a really good pickup because there's plenty. The instructions are pretty straightforward. There's a lot of great tutorials online, and it's not too intimidating of a game to first get into. And even if you are a person who plays a ton of board games, it's an easy one to go back to because it's one of those games that you don't really ever forget the rules. Like you look at it really quick and you refresh yourself. You're like, oh yeah, this is what I got to do. Whereas like right now, if I wanted to go back and play Terra Mystica, oh man, I haven't played that game in a couple of years. So trying to remember what I have to do when I play Terra Mystica is pretty hard. In 2 years, if I have to try to remember what I need to do to play Splendor, not going to be much of a challenge, but definitely a fun game. Highly recommend it. Check out Splendor if you have the opportunity. So, Josh, that's it for games on the tabletop. What have you been playing on your television, sir?
Well, I wanted to mention real quick because you said you were talking about you can get Splendor at Target.
Yeah.
So there's Ravensburger just came out with a Jurassic Park game. It's called Jurassic Park Danger, and it's a Target exclusive. And it looks pretty cool.
Jurassic Park Danger, you say?
Yeah. And I'll tell you this. I watched Dice Tower coverage of it. It comes with a cardboard Velociraptor, T-Rex, and Dilophosaurus. I already have a plan with all these Toys R Us's going under.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go buy some of the little toy ones and replace the figures with the cardboard pieces.
Oh, okay.
Toss them in the box. But yeah, it's only $25. So just thought of that. I just checked because it just came out, I think, today.
Oh, okay. Now I don't want to speak poorly about anyone. What do you think the chances are that this game is good?
From what I saw, the gameplay, it looks really good. You literally build the island almost like Catan style.
Oh, okay.
And you get to play as the characters from the movie against someone playing as the dinosaurs. So it sounds like that Raptor game a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
The dinosaurs win if they, I think, kill 3 people. And I think the people win if a certain amount of people get off the island to the helicopter. But each character has a specific mission. So like Sam Jackson's thing is like hold on to your butts, and it's like you have to get to the communications building and turn it on, and then get to the helicopter. So it looks like it adds some strategy. Um, but I'm interested. I'm going to definitely pick it up because why not?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, I think, don't quote me on this, I think the designers of this are the same people who designed or had input on Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle.
Oh, US
So,
Monopoly?
well, no, the
the
Forest
designers,
Cruising,
not the publishers.
yeah, the designers, Forest Cruising Creative. They weren't the only ones, but I think they helped with Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle as well. So
Nice.
that's a great game. I really like that game. So yeah, maybe there's a solid chance this is solid. So
cool. Well, I'll report back because I'll probably have it by this weekend.
Awesome. And I like Jurassic Park, so maybe I will too. Who knows? Actually,
yeah,
I'm wearing a Jurassic Park shirt right now.
Nice.
Actually,
yeah, I'm kind of feeling I kind of want to play a Jurassic Park game since I'm not getting Dinosaur Island proper.
Right.
So, and I don't think there's any other like real Jurassic Park board games out there that aren't from the 90s. All right, so video games. That's what we're talking about.
Indeed.
Okay, so I'm slowly getting my way through God of War still. I still have motivation to play it even after the Conan spoilers.
Oh my gosh, that video is so spoilery. Like,
they spoiled it for no reason. He says all these things, and they literally have no content from what that guy says.
I know. I felt so bad about that. I was like, oh gosh.
It is what it is. You can't avoid all the spoilers. Even though last week I said I was trying to avoid spoilers. It's my own fault for watching the video. Why did I think a comedy thing wouldn't have spoilers?
Right. True.
And then with no relation to today's event that I even knew about, but I've been playing Fortnite. For real. I streamed some on Mixer. I haven't uploaded it yet because I have to have my computer on, so I'll probably do that after we do this. I wish they made that easier to do.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at the game, but I'm enjoying playing it, if that makes sense. I don't enjoy like hiding and like waiting. Like there came to a point because so the reason why I started playing it was it's part of the Xbox Quest for this month. It's play 30 minutes consecutive of Fortnite for at least 5 days this month. So I was like, oh, that's easy. I can knock that out, no problem. Come home. I've been coming home late from work, so get home, I turn it on, I play for 30, 40, 50 minutes, and then I go to bed. And then like one of the last games I played, was going through a building looking for something, and I mistakenly jumped on some tires, and it shot me up through the roof, and someone had built like a perch, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll just stay here until
well, you know, why not?
And it happened to be in the middle of the ring. It just kept coming in on me, so I didn't have to move anywhere. So I don't like that, like the downtime part, which is the same thing I didn't like in PUBG.
Right.
I'm just not. So Fortnite is the first game that has made me feel my age, if that makes sense. So like when I grew up, my parents were playing video games. We'd all play video games, but it came to a point where I could play a game and master it, and they couldn't really wrap their heads around it. Whether it was like a Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto or whatever the case may be. That's what I feel like Fortnite is for me.
With the building?
I can't, in my brain, I can't separate the two. Well, I can separate the two, but I can't mash them together. I can't be running like these guys do and just build and go straight up vertically while defending myself. I can't do it. It's just something that, sure, if I was able to quit my job and just sit at home all day and practice at it, I'll probably be great at it. But I think that's the only reason why I prefer PUBG to Fortnite. But I think Fortnite's a better game.
Okay.
Just from the look and the controls, and it just has more of a fun feel to it.
Yeah, I would agree there.
PUBG does. Like PUBG's, I think I might like PUBG's controls better because it's very tactile, and not tactile. That's not the word I want to use. But not tactile as in feel, but as in militaristic.
Like more like tactical.
Tactical. Not tactile. It's more tactical. Oh boy. I am tired. So I think I like that aspect better, and it feels more like a shooter. And Fortnite feels more like it's like Disney Infinity shooter.
Mhm.
What it makes me think of.
It's more definitely more arcadey. Like it's
Yeah,
definitely yeah.
but I enjoy it, and I jumped back into the division today for a little bit just to kind of remind myself how pretty it looks right now, and that I want to play it some more. But we get some more games on the horizon, and Destiny 2 update just dropped today, and thinking I want to get back into the story. I don't know what I want to do. I'm so conflicted on what I want to play.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna take a minute. I'm gonna just finish God of War, and then I'll pick something to play. By then it will be time for State of Decay. So
That's true. That's very true. That's right around the corner here. Uh how excited are you to jump back into Destiny 2?
I'm not. The guys in Discord have been getting me excited about it, but when I get excited about playing Destiny 2, always in the back of my mind is how much time I waste in the game. And I don't mean waste in necessarily a bad way, but right now my time is so limited. I'm literally only getting to play God of War when I don't nap and
Right.
only for an hour and a half at a time.
Right.
And this past couple weeks, I've needed to nap. So, so I don't like. I don't know what I'll jump back into it just to get the feel.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if I can accommodate that time suck right now.
Yeah, I think that I really want to be excited because like Dev and the other guys are super stoked about getting back into it. I'm just not.
Right.
I'll probably download it because I bought like when I bought it, I bought the deluxe edition, so I have this expansion already paid for. So I probably should download it and try it. But I kind of in that same boat. There was so much management of like my stuff and my slots and like putting things in my vault and moving things around that I kind of lost my desire. Like the game feels great. It's fun to play when you are playing it.
Yeah.
But it felt like there was a lot more downtime of like, all right, we finished that. Let's go back and turn all these engrams in and get these things decrypted and then run around and move things around and figure out what, my light level is going to be at and getting things where I need it to be and everything else. And it just was like, man, I just want to play the game,
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that people are really stoked. I'm glad that folks are really excited. It sounds like especially whatever's coming out this fall is going to be really good. So I'm happy that folks are excited who love Destiny to get back into Destiny. I just don't know if I haven't even downloaded it. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
So I have jumped into a few games, actually. I've been kind of, I've been doing some palate cleansing when it comes to video games. I dusted off the Yield Switch and jumped into Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I am a fan of a good platformer. Like I really enjoyed Celeste earlier in the year. So I enjoy a good challenging platformer, even if it is on, with the Joy-Cons, which I don't think are great. But I jumped into Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and so far so good. I'm really enjoying it. I have finished the first 2 worlds, so definitely not done, and I still have a ways to go. I like all of the levels. I like how it's designed. I think it's a beautiful game. The sound's really great. I don't like the boss fights. Like each world has ended with like a boss fight, and I think those have been pretty. I'm just not a fan of how they're designed.
Yeah.
But that aside, I've liked everything else about the game so far. So I'm going to keep playing that. And it's nice where I can just pick it up, play it, spend 10, 12 minutes to finish a level and then put it down and come back to it again later. So I'm enjoying my time with that. Also, as part of the Xbox Games with Gold, Super Mega Baseball 2 was part of that grouping. And I decided, I'm a huge fan of baseball games, but I haven't picked up the show recently because those games are so simmy, and while I like that, I also feel like for those games you have to commit. I'm not as good as like coaches as being like I just am good at sports games, so I can just sit down and do this stuff without dedicating a lot of time to it and doing well at it. So I've kind of steered away from that. But I was like, hey, this game doesn't cost me anything, so I'm already paying for Xbox Live. Might as well give it a whirl. The first game I won 1-0. And they do this really cool thing where they have what they call your ego meter, and that determines the difficulty. And you can increase your ego or decrease your ego at any time during the game, and that kind of determines the difficulty. So I started out with it pretty low. Won the first game 1-0. Played the second game, and then I won that game 18-0. So I picked up pretty fast from game 1 to game 2 how things were supposed to work, and then I have been steadily increasing the ego since then between every game because I haven't lost yet, but the games are definitely getting closer. I think the last one I won like 3-1. So that, we're definitely getting up there to where I'm feeling pretty good about where the game feels a little more balanced, and I do like that it's such a small little incremental increases to get it right to a place where it feels good for you. And the other thing I like about the game is that there is a lot of depth if you want there to be, but I think so far I haven't been really exploring all of that depth too much, and I've still been doing okay. I feel like probably if you really, really cranked up the difficulty, like using your power swings and your power pitches and all of those things would matter probably quite a bit. But I haven't really had to do that yet, and I'm still really having a good time with the game. I think sometimes the base running can be a little bit finicky, but other than that, and I feel like everybody is really slow in the game. I played baseball for lots of years growing up, did all of that good stuff. And there are simple things that I'm like, okay, on this play, this runner should easily be able to get from first to third based off where this ball was hit. And they just can't. Like, they just can't do it. And I'm like, and I thought maybe it was just that player, but I feel like a lot of them kind of have that issue.
Yeah.
And I think part of it's there's not like this, like, because you can't quite get to the, hey, I don't want you to steal, but I really want you, like you could probably get in like the show. I want you to have a really healthy lead off here. Like you can steal or you can not steal, and that's it. Like you can't, from what I can tell, increase or decrease your lead off or anything like that. So I've hit a few of those kind of weird things, and sometimes the logic of the base running is a little bit weird. But overall, really enjoying it. We'll continue to play this. I think this is a game that I'll probably play, once a week or twice a week for probably quite some time.
Nice.
The final game that I'm just going to mention very, very briefly is because I didn't even realize I still had this game. I was moving some boxes and moving some stuff around at the house, and we were trying to clean some stuff out and pack some stuff up and kind of collapse. Hey, we have all these boxes. Let's start to get rid of some of these. Many, many moons ago, I had sold my Xbox 360 and all of the games, or so I thought. I found a box that still had Red Dead Redemption in it.
That's crazy.
So I was like, well, crud. Why not? So I went ahead, threw in Red Dead Redemption to see how beautiful it looks with all of these 4K upgrades that it has now. It looks pretty good. It doesn't look quite as it's still pretty, like the textures and stuff like that still aren't great, which is understandable for sure. But like the skyboxes and stuff are stellar.
Wow.
Like, oh my gosh, the game, like the sky, it looks beautiful. Day, night, doesn't matter. The skyboxes and things look absolutely stunning for what was a 360 game. The thing I'm a little bummed about, but probably is okay, is I thought with backwards compatibility, because I had played this game on 360, I thought like my cloud save would still be there, but I couldn't find it. So I had to start over. So maybe not. Maybe I misunderstood how all of that works. Maybe it's been too long.
I'll pop in. I just found Crackdown and a couple other games that I had from the 360. So I'll pop one in and I'll let you know if the cloud save saved for me.
Yeah, because it said was looking for a save and it couldn't find one. So I was like, well, okay. And it is really interesting how backwards compatibility works, because like I'm on my Xbox One and then I'm signing into like the 360, like the 360 weird, thing, right? Like pops up and you're just like, oh man, that was a long time ago. But yeah, so still really enjoying it. I think I might try to finish it before Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out. I put it in just to play it to see how good it looked, and I was like, I'm enjoying this more than I thought I would. So maybe I'll continue to play this, but I haven't finished Far Cry 5.
Oh,
so
you gotta finish
that.
that.
I know. So I was like, I probably should just finish Far Cry 5, and then maybe I will play this. But then Vanquish is coming and State of Decay 2. We'll see what happens. Who knows? So yeah, lots of gaming that has happened. Next week, I'm sure we'll figure out exactly what I've decided to do with all of that stuff.
We need to talk about the ending of Far Cry 5. I'm going to lose my mind if I don't get to talk about that.
Okay, I will. I promise. Then I will finish Far Cry 5 before I play any more Red Dead Redemption 2. I promise. Okay. All right. So hey, do you want to move on to some beefy topics of the show for the week?
Yeah, who doesn't love beefy topics? Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So each year the Dice Tower holds its own awards, and I really am a big fan of board game awards because I think they people argue with like the Oscars and things like that maybe they're out of touch with like your average moviegoer, right? That the movies that win the Oscars are maybe not the movies most people are going to see. And for the most part, most people who play board games probably don't know all of the board games that are nominated for these board games awards, but I think you can easily make the argument that these really are like board games that most people will enjoy and most people will have a good time playing. They're just not aware of them existing. So that's one of the reasons that I enjoy board game awards and all of that good stuff. So I thought we'd give the Dice Tower Awards a little time on our show tonight and just kind of go through what the awards are, what the nominees are, kind of if we had to pick, who we might vote for. Now, granted, we haven't necessarily played every game in every category, and that's why they tend to announce these ahead of time, just so that people can get through and play them if they're, if they want to do that. But I figured we just go through, talk about the categories, talk about who's nominated, all that good stuff. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So from the Dice Tower News website, the first category is most innovative. And the nominees are Gloomhaven, Charterstone, The Seventh Continent, Fog of Love, and I'm very happy to see Drop Mix.
Yes.
So, sir, do you have the list up in front of you too, or no?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So for most innovative, if you had to pick one, who do you think you'd go with? I mean, overall, this seems like a really solid list of games.
Well, I have 4 out of those 5 games.
Yes, you do.
I've played 2 out of those 4 games.
Get to work, sir. Get to work.
There's not for lack of trying. I really want to play Fog of Love and Charterstone because of the most incredible things I've heard of them. I think we'll probably most likely get Fog of Love first because I heard you can just play it right out of the box.
Right.
Which is good without having to read up on it. I think you have to give it the Drop Mix only because it breaks the mold on the traditional, what would even be in this category. Like it breaks the mold on deck building games or board games in general, or if it is a board game, like for innovation, Gloomhaven has its things that are new. Charterstone has things that are new. All these games have, but Drop Mix is all new. Everything's new from that. So I think, if I had to pick out of those, I would say Drop Mix.
What do you think the chances are Drop Mix actually wins?
15%.
I would agree. Yeah. I'm 100% with you. I think Drop Mix is, for me, when I look at that category, the easily the most innovative game of all of those. But I'm kind of in that same boat as you. I don't think it has the following probably, or that people maybe don't think it's enough of a game for it to be awarded most innovative, but I think it definitely is out of that category. What is nominated for best 2-player game, sir? What do we got in that category?
So I'll tell you again, I have 4 out of the 5 games. We have Santorini, Fog of Love once again, Codenames Duet, Caverna, Cave versus Cave, and then The Fox in the Forest. And I will say, I'll ask you because I know you have 2 of those games.
Yep, have 3 of them. We also have Codenames Duet, and then we have Santorini and The Fox in the Forest.
Yeah.
If I was going to pick, I would probably pick Santorini. I love The Fox in the Forest, but I think when it comes to the game that I think I constantly am challenged by the most and think about the most, and when I'm done with the games, I think about like, man, what was that game really like? I think Santorini fits that mold better. And for me, though I really enjoy Fox in the Forest, if push came to shove and somebody asked me what was the better game, I probably would pick Santorini as the better game, even though I might like Fox in the Forest better. And Codenames Duet, I think, is fun. I think both of those games I just prefer over it. I don't think it's a bad game by any means. So for me in that category, I would pick Santorini.
I hear you on the Santorini thing, but I think the only reason why I would pick Fox in the Forest over that is because I'm not always in the mood for a thanky game. And when I think of like best 2-player game, I just think of a game that I can just play with someone and enjoy it. And I think for me, like Fox in the Forest, I could pretty much sit down with anyone and play that game within 5 minutes of sitting down and play 10 games within a half an hour.
Except with my wife, because she wouldn't want to play.
Right, and it's not for everyone.
Which might be partially why I'm a little biased about that too.
Right, but I'm not gonna take Santorini on a flight with me or to a cafe or something. But I would definitely take Fox in the Forest So I mean, but that's why it's going to be a tough category because you have people on all different sides of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Codenames Duets is good, but that's one of those games that causes frustration. I
Right.
think it's because it's cooperative, but it's so strict, and you have to get the things done so efficiently that it's very easy just to lose every time you play.
Right.
So I would imagine that could be a little frustrating. Um, but I don't know necessarily their criteria on how they're judging this.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too, because I think it's kind of probably up to each person a little bit, right? Like
Yeah,
they're
they'll just
kind
pick
of
their favorite.
right. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, right?
No, I mean that's how the movie thing. That's how most awards go, anyways.
So no, absolutely. All right. So the next category then is best theming. For this, they have This War of Mine, the board game. Okay, so here's my question for this next game. Do you pronounce it ex libre or ex libris?
I pronounce it ex libris or
Okay.
libris.
I've heard it both ways, so I don't actually know what's right. But anyway, that game. Spirit Island, Near and Far, and Photosynthesis as far as best theming. Josh, where would you be leaning here? How many of these do you have?
I have two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have photosynthesis and Spirit Island. Um, I've heard great things about ex libris or libris or libri. And it looks really nice. And I know you have this War of Mine, so I'm interested to hear what you think. But I think Near and Far is going to win just because of the hype behind it, how many people love that game. I really like the theming in Spirit Island, like a lot. Photosynthesis is good, but I think it just got entered into this category because of how nice it looks. I wouldn't say the theme is super strong in the game. It's
Really?
there. It's there, but I'm not like motivated by the theme in the game. I know what I have to do, plant seeds to grow trees to get points. But I don't feel like a thematic element to the game like Spirit Island's like you are the spirits of this island warding off human invaders, and you really feel like you have this power and you're doing these things. I think the mechanics are awesome for photosynthesis. I don't think the theme is overwhelmingly like driving the game. You could play that game if it wasn't about trees because it's the mechanism of the game.
Sure. You are right. I do have This War of Mine, the board game. I haven't played it yet, so I can't talk about how great it is as far as that goes. I think I don't have Ex Libris or Spirit Island. I actually own Near and Far, but haven't played it either. Photosynthesis, I actually in this category, obviously based off of like my lack of games too, I would easily vote for Photosynthesis, and the reason I would is because the mechanics and the theme fit together so well. Like, yes, you can be like, oh, the sun rotating is mechanics, and the shade that the trees give is mechanics. Yeah. Yes, but it all fits the theme. None of it feels added on. None of it feels pasted on. Like, it all 100% makes sense if you're like, hey, you're trying to grow this forest. Here's how all this stuff works. Like, if you're just like, oh, that makes sense. Like, what would you determine to be, how would you determine rule A? You're like, well, that makes sense because it's a forest, or like everything just fits well with it.
Right.
And that's where I think why I probably would pick photosynthesis, not just because it's like the only one I have a ton of experience with, but I also feel like the theme and mechanics fit so well together that nothing there feels pasted on. It all makes sense to me. So
don't get me wrong, I really like it, but like I think it's interchangeable. You can make it for people. Like you have a baby and then it becomes a child and then it's an adult.
And then the sun causes them to cause the shadows. So you have to plant your seed for your baby somewhere else.
Well, we wouldn't use the sun. We would use a calendar. We'd use like a clock for aging.
You know what? But you didn't do it. It's the sun. So there you go.
You're right. Well, the sun is technically a clock.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm just saying. I think it's a great game, and I would be happy if it won. I don't see it beating Near and Far, though.
Okay. What's up for strategy games here?
Best strategy games. So we have Anachrony, Spirit Island, Near and Far, Gloomhaven, and Dinosaur Island. So I don't think we have much experience with that either. Any of these games, right? Between
no.
the two of us. So what do you think? What do you think? In
I feel like.
right?
What's that?
It's hard to judge it, right? Because
It
like,
is. It is. I feel like Gloomhaven is such a juggernaut right now, but like Dinosaur Island is such a like people seem to really love that game too. I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, pick the winner," I probably would pick Gloomhaven, but I don't know if that's what's going to win. And if any of those won, I think I'd be like, "Oh, that makes sense." Other than maybe Anachrony, that might surprise me,
right?
just because I think it's talked about less than the others.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought, from what I was hearing about Sidereal Confluence, I thought for sure that was going to be nominated.
I'm surprised kind of that it's not as well.
But yeah, I mean, Gloomhaven is a beast, but I really feel like it could win for best RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not even RPG, because people in D&D would be mad. By everything I've seen from Dinosaur Island, I would guess Dinosaur Island.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I mean, I've only played Gloomhaven of those games, and while there certainly is a lot of strategy in the game, I wouldn't necessarily call it a strategy game.
Right.
So that would be the only reason why I wouldn't pick it in that category.
Gotcha. So what are you picking then?
I'd say Dinosaur Island.
Okay, cool. Next category is best reprint, and I think this is something that neither of us have, again, much experience in. Nemo's War 2nd Edition, Coliseum, Stock Thief, Twilight Imperium 4th Edition, and Downforce. For me, I think the winner is going to either be Twilight Imperium or Downforce. I think it's going to be one of those two. I think the other games are all very good and very solid games. I just think depending on, I feel like Downforce is going to win. That is my pick. What about you, sir?
I have Downforce. I should play it. I just, with the chops behind Restoration Games, I feel like they kind of need to win that.
Yeah.
But the overwhelming nerditude around TI4
I know,
overwhelming. I think that it's like it comes to a point where it's like the Jersey Shore of board games. People are gonna play it. Like people are gonna. Jersey Shore was like Reunion was the highest rated MTV show in 5 years, and it's just because of these people have this memory of something that, and I'm not saying that it's comparable by quality. I'm just saying it's comparable by memory. Like people who played Twilight Imperium have been playing this game forever. It's like Cosmic Encounters.
But do you really have that many people played it?
Like, I don't know.
And that's why I'm wondering, and that's why I think, because like that is a huge commitment. It's expensive. It's a huge time commitment. Like you have to have like a good group of people who are definitely hardcore gamers to play that game. Whereas Downforce can be like, hey, we're gonna play a game with the family on a Thursday night. You can't do that with TI4.
But how many people do you know that watch Jersey Shore? I know 0.
Well, that's true, I guess.
And like,
so you're picking. So you heard it here first, everyone. Twilight Imperium, the Jersey Shore of board games.
Jersey Shore edition. And I'm sorry to Twilight Imperium. I don't mean to compare to Jersey Shore, because I'm sure you're a million times better. Oh boy. Yeah, I regret even comparing the two. And if I didn't bring it up like 3 times, I might have asked you to edit it out.
And I would have said no, so it wouldn't have mattered.
But yeah, I would mess up with the continuity anyways of me saying stupid things on the podcast. Got to keep that going. Yeah, so I'll say, I mean, Downforce I'll stick with, although I think it's going to be Twilight Imperium. So best party game is interesting because I own one of them. I want to get one of the other ones, but I'm pretty sure I will buy whatever wins, because I like that theme of game. And so the category's best party game, the nominees are Magic Maze, which I have, Word Slam, Werewords, which I've heard great things about, Meeple Circus, which I'm dying to get, and Rhino Hero Super Battle, which I've also heard incredible things about.
Right.
How about you? What have you been hearing, and what do you think?
Yeah, I think all these games, from everything I've heard, are pretty great. If push came to shove and I had to vote for one, I'm totally voting for Rhino Hero, because I think the game is adorable. and you're a rhino who's a superhero, and that just seems great to me. So I'm going to vote with Rhino Hero. I have kind of the same thing. I tend to with party games. I don't play a ton of them. We don't. It's not something I own a lot of, but I do tend to try to buy like one party game a year. So I usually wait to find out who is going to win a category like this, and that tends to be the party game I pick up. But I hope it's Rhino Hero because I think the game looks really cute.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's Rhino Hero because I've seen it talked about so much. So I guess I'll go with Rhino Hero.
Awesome. All right, so continue chucking around here because there's still quite a few categories to go. Best game from a small publisher, and this is actually a stellar lineup of games.
Yeah.
Century Spice Road, Sagrada, The Seventh Continent, Gloomhaven, and Azul. I mean, pick one out of a hat, I guess.
I think I'm going to say I played Century Spice Road just because I played Gollum Edition.
Right, which I think is,
the only game I haven't played is Seventh Continent. All those games are fantastic.
Yeah.
The only reason why I would say Gloomhaven wins is because it was done by one guy.
Yeah.
And that takes a small publisher to a whole nother level. It's a small guy.
Yeah.
And he designed the biggest game.
I mean, it is the #1 ranked game on Board Game Geek, so doesn't it have to win?
But even he said it looks like we're not going to stay #1 for long with Seventh Continent. He said they're creeping up on him. So I think he's even ready to concede to Seventh Continent. But I guess I would have to know more about how many people developed Seventh Continent. But just from the pure fact that Gloomhaven was developed by one person, I gotta pick Gloomhaven. Although since I've introduced people to Azul here, people have been buying it, want to play it left and right. So it's been picking up a lot of steam over here in Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think all of these games are stellar. I think Seventh Continent, by the way, was designed by 2 people. I think so.
There you go.
Twice as many people work on that. I really think it's going to come down to Sagrada or Azul, just because I think they have a wider appeal. I think I'm going to pick Azul. I think Azul is going to win this category. But like you said, all those games are stellar, so I don't think you go wrong no matter what wins there.
Also, Azul and Century are from the same company.
Yes, they are.
2 games from Plan B in there. Okay. And the next one is best game from a new designer.
Yes.
So we have, once again, we have Gloomhaven, Photosynthesis, Spirit Island, Dragon Castle, which I really want to get, and Too Many Bones, which I've also heard great things about. I'm just going to say that Gloomhaven wins it.
Yeah, I think you have to go with Gloomhaven for this one.
Yeah, I think so.
So, next category is best family game, and we have again a few folks that we've seen on the list before: Azul, Barn Park, Century Spice Road, Downforce, and Sagrada. Where would you lean on this one?
I've heard really good things about Barron Park, and I want to play it. But if I'm going to pick the best family game from that list that I know that is good that I played, I would pick Sagrada. But I've heard Downforce is a great family game. But Sagrada for sure for me.
I would agree with you. I would also pick Sagrada off that list.
Yes. Good. Okay, we agreed on something.
I know. Go us.
All right, so we have best expansion next. We have Scythe, The Wind Gambit, Terraforming Mars, Venus Next, Star Wars Rebellion, Rise of the Empire, Zaya?
Yep.
Ja. Embers of a Forsaken Star, and then finally Champions of Midgard, Valhalla. What say you, Kyle of Midgard?
So here's the thing. I don't have any of these expansions. So I'm just going to pick Champions of Midgard Valhalla, just because Champions of Midgard is a game I really want to play. I love Scythe, so I hope the Wind Gambit wins it. I just haven't picked up that expansion yet. I have Terraforming Mars and haven't played it yet. Zaya Legends of a Drift System is one of those games that is on the to buy list at some point, but then I look at like Eclipse that I have that we've played like twice. So I'm like, I don't know how often Zaya would get to the table. So Champions of Midgard, though, just seems like an awesome game. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pick Champions of Midgard. How about you?
Well, I own Champions of Midgard Valhalla.
Is it an awesome game?
But I don't own Champions of Midgard.
Oh, so that's super helpful.
I own all the expansions and I don't own the game. So I thought I was getting the game when I bought it. Just based on, so Tom Vassell said he would never play Champions of Midgard with the expansions because they're that good. Just from that sentence alone, I have to pick Champions of Midgard.
Awesome. All right. Best cooperative game. Again, a few games we've seen, plus some new ones. Gloomhaven, Flip Ships, Spirit Island, Pandemic Legacy Season 2, and The Seventh Continent. What are you going for best cooperative game?
So I have Flip Ships. I haven't played it yet, and I really want to.
Same boat. Exact same situation.
And I really didn't get into Pandemic Legacy Season 2. I think that will win, but for me, it's Gloomhaven.
Right.
But I think Pandemic will win.
Yeah, I think this might be one of the situations where Seventh Continent might squeak it out against Gloomhaven. I think Gloomhaven seems to be a lot of rage as a single-player game. So I think that as a cooperative game, I think this might be a situation where Seventh Continent squeaks it out. I would be surprised if Pandemic Legacy Season 2 wins because I just don't think it was fun, but I just don't think it was as good as the first season of it. Yeah. So then it's very interesting of like, well, how would the less good second season then be the best? Yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. So yeah, but Season 3 apparently coming soon. So there you go.
Oh, good. I'm only 2 seasons behind now. Okay. So we have best board game production is next. And we're looking at only one new game that hasn't been mentioned yet. So we have Twilight Imperium 4th edition, Photosynthesis, Azul, Wasteland Express Delivery Service, and Charterstone.
Yeah. I'm going to go Azul.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say, that's a no-brainer. I bet Azul takes it. It's not a no-brainer, but for me it is. It seems like the best production of all those games.
Right.
Simple, but I think they nailed it.
I hear you. All right. One of my favorite categories, best game artwork. Near and Far, Lisboa, Charterstone, Century Gollum Edition this time, and Yamatai. Where are you going for this one, sir?
I gotta tell you, every time I look at Yamatai in the stores, it looks so awesome.
Doesn't it?
It looks so good.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to pick it up every time. Century Gollum Edition. I mean, if I didn't tell you how much I loved that game before, it's second to none. This game looks so good. That's it for me.
Yeah, no, I respect that pick a lot. I'm going to go with Charterstone just because I really love the look of that game. Yeah. But again, this is one of those categories where I think all of those games are easily deserving. You know, if you look at like Near and Far, like, I mean, Ryan Lockett, how much stuff that dude does. Yeah. You know, So I think all of those are great picks. If I had to pick, though, I would pick Charterstone.
Nice. We should have been writing this down.
I know we should have. I was going to, and then
one of the awards.
I think they announced them at Dice Tower Con.
Oh, we get okay. Well, I'll just re-listen to this when we post this on Thursday. I'll just write down what we picked.
Perfect.
Okay, best game of the year, the final category, and of course, every game I say has been listed already. The Seventh Continent, Century Spice Road, Charterstone, Dinosaur Island, Gloomhaven, Near and Far, Pandemic Legacy Season 2, Sagrada, Spirit Island, and Azul. Good luck.
Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding. Do you have a thought on this?
Yeah.
What's your thought?
My thought is, well, when you're thinking about game of the year, I think for me, it has to be, if it's not a game I played the most, it's a game I would think of either that I plan on playing a lot, that I can teach to anybody, that's fun with any amount of people, that looks great, that is the design and mechanics work very well, and it's good for all ages. Is what I think about.
So what I hear you saying is you're picking Gloomhaven.
Yeah, yeah. Sit
No,
down
no,
with a
that doesn't fit all those
sit
things.
down with a 6-year-old and start cleaving bodies. No, if I was gonna pick, it would be between Sagrada and Azul, and I would pick Sagrada.
Okay, when I saw this, I thought like the snap pick was going to be Gloomhaven. Like I
Yeah,
looked at it, I was like, I think people are just going to pick Gloomhaven. But honestly, if I was going to, I actually was going to pick Azul because I
yeah,
think similar to you. I think honestly, it's going to come down to Sagrada and Azul, and I would lean towards Azul. But again, man, this list of games, whew, that is a
yeah,
good list of games.
yeah. I mean, it's another incredible year for board games.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. So those were the Dice Tower nominees for this year. Feel free to check out I believe at Dice Tower Con is when they will announce the winners, which is in July. So feel free to try to get as many of those games played. We will go back and listen. Josh will go back and listen and tally what we say, and then we will come back with our results after Dice Tower Con. And once we know who all the winners are, and Josh will handily beat me.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, listeners, if you want to shoot me a DM on Twitter or even Instagram, well, I'll make it a contest.
Ooh.
So take that list, pick your winners, and well, you guys can go up against Kyle and I, and I'll send the winner a game.
Oh, wow.
And it will be of one of the winning games.
Oh, dang.
How about that? Does that
sounds
good?
Great. That sounds like a great contest.
Why not? I mean, I've been getting all this stuff recently. I might as well share the wealth. No, but I think it would be really cool. And this is something we could do every year. And maybe next year we can even expand it to more than one person. But the person who gets the highest percentage right, I will personally go to my Barnes & Noble or probably Miniature Market because it'll be cheaper. And I'll get you one of those winning games.
Awesome. Well, hey, look at that. We think of contests on the fly. And who's the winner? You listeners are the winner.
It won't be Gloomhaven.
It's not going to be Gloomhaven. Not going to be Seventh Continent.
I want to get that out right now.
So awesome. Well, hey, we'll come up with a little more of a structure to that and make sure to share that on social media as well. So you don't have to worry about panicking about writing all that down. We'll get you taken care of on social media and all that other stuff as well. And at this point, listener, you're probably saying like, man, it's been about an hour. This has been a great hour. But guess what? This is a supersized episode.
Bonus.
We're not done yet. That is right, everyone. In addition to the Dice Tower Awards, E3 is only a month away. And rather than just doing one big show covering all things E3, we wanted to spread the joy out over the next few weeks and cover what we're hoping to see announced at the different events being held. Now, these are not predictions. These are just things we're hoping to see that would really get us excited. There may be a few weeks where we're going to cover 2 companies, but this week we're going to start with the first group going, and that is EA. EA Play is happening at the Hollywood Palladium June 9th to the 11th, with a presser June 9th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. As you all likely know, a few years ago, EA stepped out of the E3 conference and now does their own shindig before the show. And they have already announced a few things that we know will be at their show. They have said the next Battlefield experience will be there, the new EA Sports games. There's going to be a chance to go hands-on with Anthem if you're at EA Play. The Sims 4 and some mobile games will be there, as well as some surprises. So, Josh, EA at E3. What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to hear about? What would make you a happy camper after that EA press conference if they talked about it?
All right, ready? Here's my crazy off-the-wall prediction. I said this in Discord, so you may have heard this.
I would like to, before you go, I would like to say that I just said that thing we're not doing predictions.
Sorry, not a prediction. A want.
Okay.
What I want to see. Yeah, it's not really a prediction. Anyways, it's a want. What I would love to see is EA, you're sitting in this quiet, dark room for EA, and then, the screen pops up and just loud noise pumps, and all of a sudden you just hear like EA big, and it just shoots on the screen. And then they just go through a lineup of they're redoing every EA big game.
Oh
FIFA
man.
Street, NBA Street, NFL. What was the NFL one?
Oh,
I knew it. I said it the other day and I forgot it already. It wasn't NFL Street. It was NFL something. But whatever.
Anyway. Yeah.
Then the icing on the cake is the new SSX. Like, that's what I want to see. I want them to bring back the arcade style. Like, I'm sick of EA simulation sports games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of it. I know that there's a huge market for it. I think it's dwindling though. If you look at the price of some of these games a couple months after they're out, I would really love to see that. I think we're overdue. I think people it's hard to get a grasp on how many people are asking for stuff, but I see it on Twitter all the time.
Right.
People are asking for this stuff. Even like Def Jam Vendetta.
Mo would be so happy.
Yeah. Sorry, getting over a cold. I don't have any interest in like Plants vs. Zombies. Unravel 2 would be cool. Like that's like one of their adventurous titles, but they don't do too much of. And anything Star Wars, just give me something.
What do you
feel good about?
Was the NFL version just NFL Street?
Was it Street? I feel was
it FIFA? I thought FIFA, NBA, and NFL were just Street.
One of them was Playgrounds. It was NBA Playground. Oh, that's the game that's out now.
Yeah, that's the game that's out now.
Yeah, it probably was NFL Street then. Okay.
But so what do you think we're gonna see from as far as Star Wars goes? Because we're really not gonna go a year without seeing a Star Wars something, right?
I feel like we're gonna get a trailer or a teaser. We're not gonna get another game this year, I don't think.
Right, but what is that gonna be? A Respawn's project? Is it gonna be what?
It has to be Respawn's, right? I don't know that they have the other IP. Doesn't Activision have the other one?
What do you mean?
Who picked up the 1313 game? Abby Happy's game.
So
EA, she's not a part of anymore.
Yeah, well, no, that's all EA because
that's all EA?
Studio.
Oh,
okay, the Star Wars license gaming right now are all done.
It's all EA. All right. I thought someone else had one. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see what's going on with a Star Wars story game. I don't care who's making it. Just show me something. I'm just kind of over Battlefront fatigue.
Right.
Like, I'm over it. I want, even if it was like Force Unleashed 3, I don't care. Just give me something with content. I don't need another multiplayer Star Wars. I don't need a skinned Star Wars game. And as much as different as Battlefront is from Battlefield, you could argue that it isn't, like, just as much.
Right. Are you where do you fit as far as the Battlefield games? Do you enjoy them? Do you not enjoy them? What are your thoughts on them in general?
I really liked the last one, 4.
Okay.
I didn't really enjoy the last ones only because of the lack of story. I'm not like, it's the same problem that I had with Star Wars multiplayer as the problem I have with Battlefield is I'm not all up for jumping into a map and getting killed instantly every time I spawn, or like whether that's my skill level or not, I think is irrelevant to the enjoyment of playing that.
Right. Would you be more excited if it was Battlefield World War II, which is one of the rumors,
right,
or Battlefield Bad Company 3, which is another one of the rumors, which maybe they're the same thing?
Yeah.
But which of those would be more exciting to you? Them taking, they obviously did their World War I version that people seem to really enjoy, that sold really well for them. Yeah. Would you rather see them take on World War II, or would you rather see them go back to, I don't know if you ever played the Bad Company games, but would you rather go back to and have that more of like the humor, more lighthearted, like blowing everything up, Bad Company side?
I feel like if they're going to do that Battle Royale mode that they're talking about, I think it kind of has to be Bad Company, because I don't see, like, you can already play Battlefield 64 player.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, it just seems a little redundant to me to add a 100-player battle royale to this to an already existing shooter. So, I mean, if they did Bad Company, I think it would make more sense because you get the story, which is almost like Fortnite-y. Like it's not cartoony in graphics, but it is in storytelling. And then you can have that 100-player battle royale mode in that universe. But I'm not like married to I'm not married to Bad Company like a lot of people are. Like I'm not in love with the game. But I think it would be cool to see. I mean, what do you think? Did you play all those games?
I haven't played all of them. I'm not a huge Battlefield fan. I play the campaigns typically, but similar to you, I just don't. When it comes to the multiplayer portion, I much prefer the feel of Call of Duty than to Battlefield. So that just tends to be where I lie. But I think if they did a Bad Company 3, I would be down to play that campaign at least. I think Battlefield Bad Company 2 was fun. It wasn't the best game ever, but for a 6 to 8 to 10 hour campaign, it was good to sit down for a weekend and just kind of blur through that game. So I would prefer if they went the Bad Company route, but no matter what it is, I probably at some point will play at least the campaign. Now, Josh, you may remember not too long ago, there's a company you really enjoy that you promised was going to release the best game of the year.
Yep, I do. I was purposely not bringing them up.
Yep. That didn't quite work out the way we anticipated. I think, like you would probably agree to, I think Mass Effect Andromeda was better than what a lot of people said, but it definitely did not live up to the previous trilogy. I think most people would agree with that, I think.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
I won't say until I play the game fully.
Okay. So for me, at least, I will own it then. For myself, Andromeda did not live up to the previous Mass Effect trilogy. I still think the game was.
It definitely didn't live up to the Mass Effect.
I was like, I
can agree with you on that.
Okay, that's what I was saying. I was like, I don't think it was as good as those first two games.
All right.
Anyway, so they have Anthem, right? Revealed last year. Obviously, the game looked stunning. Everyone's like, yay, Iron Man. Like, obviously, one of those titles that is really going to be probably on EA stage, probably also on Microsoft stage.
You hinting at some news?
What's that?
Are you hinting at some news that happened?
No.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. So everyone knows that this game, or EA has already said that this game is going to be hands-on at EA Play, that people who are attending will be able to play Anthem.
Yeah.
What do you need to see? Because I know you said now that you're very
skeptical
about everything about what this game is going to be. What do you need to see to reassure you about the quality of Anthem and to get you excited for it?
Well, the reason why I asked if you were excited about news, because they announced today it is coming out in March.
Oh yeah, in the financial things they said that it was coming out in March 2019.
So I'm not happy about that because
that kind of is what happened in Andromeda, right? Like it has to hit the fiscal year, so it's got to come out in March.
Please, you just told me you're going to make this game your apology note, and you just told me a date already. So I'm not happy about that. What do I need to see? I need to see someone playing gameplay, right? So it's going to be tough because I know on the stage, just because a guy's standing there with a remote doesn't mean he's playing the game. We've seen that at plenty of E3s. So really what I'm going to need to see is that coverage post press conferences and then hear people talk about it.
Right.
What I want to see at the press conference is just like some gameplay. I mean, I'm so jaded. It can say actual gameplay or in-engine footage and I won't care. But give me a little bit more.
Things change,
Yeah, give me a little bit more. Because if you remember the video from last year, they showed this video of this guy and everything he's doing is seamless. He's transitioning into water and underwater, and that's not going to happen in the game like that. I don't
might.
Whatever. I'm going to be the cynic here.
Okay.
So I want to see something more realistic. I want to see a loading like not a screen, but I want to see what you see in games. I want to see textures dropping in. I want to see what an alpha build of a game should look like, not what a final version of a game is supposed to look like, because they're not. I want some honesty and upfront. It's not going to happen because they need to show a shined shoe. They're not going to show you the shoe they walked in with. Like, I get it.
If you want to see alpha gameplay, I'd say if you want to see alpha gameplay of a game, go look at the videos on Game Informer right now about Days Gone.
Yeah,
they're showing like that is like alpha footage.
And it looks good.
It looks good, but it's clearly also alpha footage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you've been asking me all this stuff about EA, but what are you looking forward to, and what do you want to see?
So for me, what I want to see from EA is, you know, a handful of things. Number one, I want a new SSX game, but I know there was an SSX game back on like the 360 era. That game was fine. Yeah. I want SSX Tricky. Like that's the game I want. I want a new version of that game, or take that game. I know EA is like, oh, we don't do remasters really, but you did with Burnout Paradise. Remaster it and make it look really pretty. And let me just play that game again. I would love to just get SSX Tricky back and play it again, or a new version of SSX that's in that same vein. That would make me very happy. I know you're not a big fan. I would love a new Plants vs. Zombies game, the Garden Warfare ones. I really enjoy those shooters. Like I think they're really fun to play. The second one, it got a little bogged down with microtransactions. There was a ton of them. And so there's a lot to like kind of navigate through to upgrade things and understand what you're doing with things. It didn't really affect gameplay, but there was just a lot of stuff constantly, a lot of noise when you were playing in menus and all that stuff. But the actual gameplay, the variable powers of the different plants that you're using or the different zombies, it's actually a really, really fun, really smart, engaging shooter. And it was actually really interesting because when I play them, you know, often I'm playing with kids far younger than me. So it's just very, very interesting because you'll have like, you know, dads and kids playing together. And then it just, everyone you played with, or at least when I was playing it, like I never really got the toxicity that you find in other shooters as much. Like every once in a while you'd have someone be a jerk. But for the most part, there's so many kids in it that most people are like, hey, I should probably be a decent person and not just be a jerk when I'm playing this. And for the most part, it happens. So that was one of the reasons I liked it as well. So I would definitely take a new Plants vs. Zombies game. Again, is it going to be my game of show? No. But would I pick it up when it comes out? Almost definitely, yes. I'd be interested if the Skate 4 rumors are true. I would take a new Skate game. I prefer the Tony Hawk style, but obviously with how bad last Tony Hawk was, I don't anticipate we're going to get another game of that style anytime soon. But I really do enjoy that style of game. So I would totally take a Skate 4. And then, do I want Unravel 2? I was really stoked about Unravel, but it turned out to not be as good as I wanted it to be. But I'm interested still to see what they do with that. And then Sea of Solitude, which is another little smaller game that they have announced and are working on. I'd be interested to see where that is at. But the thing I'm most interested to see, like, I'm excited for Anthem. I think that game has some potential to do really cool things. So I'm interested to see what they show. But the thing I am most interested in seeing is A, what these surprises are, and B, what they're going to show in regards to Star Wars. Because I'm really interested into what their forward path with this is. Because they, shutting down Amy's game and closing Visceral and moving the assets to that game to a new studio who are taking the assets but kind of starting over in some ways. Like I'm very interested to see where that's at. The game at Respawn is going to be a third-person action game, which is my favorite style of game typically. So I'm really excited to kind of see where they're going with that one. So I'm hoping we see that. And also maybe what else Respawn is working on. They've kind of, I think, have hinted at that we might see a Titanfall 3. Where is that in development? Obviously, from 1 to 2, they were able to bust those out pretty quickly. Are we at a point where we're going to see, a Titanfall 3 already, or what they're working on there? Because that was cool. Like Titanfall was a fun game. I mean, they did some cool stuff there. So I'd be interested to see, in general, what Respawn is working on.
Do you think any of these games go console exclusive?
I don't know if anything goes console exclusive. I think obviously it wouldn't surprise me to see a lot of, and I think this will actually be, we'll talk about this more later. I think you're going to see a lot of games have marketing agreements with Microsoft. I think that's going to be kind of the story of the show.
Yeah.
this because I think, obviously Anthem we already know does. Obviously, with EA services that they have on Xbox, like there's a strong relationship there already. So I could see some marketing things and maybe some console specific items, but I don't know if anything will be a full console exclusive at this point. But I think, a lot of the other games that we're going to see, I think Cyberpunk is probably going to be on Microsoft stage. I think we're going to see a number of bigger future games going to be aligned with Microsoft. I think the only one that Sony might be able to pull out of their hat if they can possibly convince them to come to E3 is Red Dead Redemption 2, but Rockstar never comes, so it won't matter.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that. So yeah, so that's what I would say.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So anything else about the EA press conference you would like to talk about? Anything else you want us to think about, maybe that we haven't said in regards to it?
No, I mean, this is probably going to be my theme with all the press conference things. I really don't have many expectations this year, and I think, it could just be me, but I feel like a lot of the things that are going to be announced haven't been out there. And at least that might just be for me. Maybe I'm not seeing that stuff, but
right.
I'm kind of just excited to see. I think I might have said this before, just to see games. I feel like we're at an E3 where we're not looking at hardware like this time. So like everyone can dedicate time to games.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I'm just kind of excited to see what happens. And will I be disappointed? I'm sure on some things. And we're certainly going to be surprised with a bunch of things, I'm sure, because the gaming market's just ripe for the picking right now, especially with all these AAA games that just came out and are coming out. So, we're going to see a lot of sequels, and I don't think EA is any exception to that.
Right. Yeah.
I would really like to see them steer away from microtransactions, but I know that's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, they make way too much money on it. Yeah. So, I'm actually really excited. Interestingly enough, I'm actually most excited for some of the non-first party conferences. Like, I'm really excited that Square is doing something again.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be more of like a Nintendo Direct style, like pre-recorded video, but I'm excited to see what they're doing. I'm really looking forward to Ubi, and I'm actually really looking forward to Bethesda too, because Bethesda, we don't know like anything.
I know it could be a good big one for them because they haven't said anything.
Yeah, so like I think Microsoft I think is poised to have a really solid show. I think most of Sony stuff is going to be stuff we already know about, and then Nintendo obviously is going to obviously focus on Smash with probably one big surprise, whether it be or maybe a couple big surprises.
Metroid probably.
Metroid or Pokemon or whatever it might be, unless they do it direct beforehand. But I think this could be the year where potentially the biggest things we're talking about are things that we see at third-party conferences. So I'm excited for that. That'll be great. So this has been a pretty lengthy show, sir. Should we go ahead and wrap this up?
Sounds good to me. You guys know the drill, as always. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you listening. And honestly, we love hearing what you guys are playing, using that hashtag #BoardWithVG. Kevin Austin's been doing a great job. And, the normal guys out there, Paul and Splig and all you guys sharing games you're playing. We really appreciate it. Make sure you follow us on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, FaceSpace, email.
FaceSpace?
FaceSpace. That's how my parents say it. #BoardWithVG on Twitter, #BoardWithVG on Instagram, #BoardWithVG@gmail.com. Facebook.com/BoardWithVG. Let me know when I've said it enough for you guys, because we're going to keep saying it. If you guys like that we went a little bit longer, let us know. We're always open to feedback. I know Kyle says that all the time, but we truly mean it. Drop us an email if you want. And if you guys want to send me your list via email, you could do that too for the board games. You don't have to DM us. And you can find me on Xbox and PlayStation on Why So Serious. That's SIRRIUS. My gameplay has been a little limited, but if you're on and I'm on and we can play, let's do that. Otherwise, look for some of my streams. I'll put some Fortnite stuff up, and hopefully Kyle and I can get together and play a game some Sunday night or something and stream that now that I fixed it. And now it's archiving my streams so I can actually post them. Kyle, where can we find you?
So you can find me pretty much everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, Board Game Geek. All that stuff is at Psychocross, CYCOCROSS. Like I said, the next few shows will probably be a little bit longer. We're going to have like a regular topic as well as talk about some E3 stuff. So start sending in your thoughts on E3, and we will, whenever is appropriate for when we're covering, the conference your info is related to, we will talk about it then as well. So as always, everyone, thanks so much for listening. We truly do appreciate it. And remember, everyone, whether it be board games or video games, never stop gaming.